What's going on there, YouTube? And welcome back to another comic book video. This is the channel where we sit down and cover different comic book stories from different comic book companies. Today, we are going to jump back over to Marvel Comics and cover the origin of the Lizard. Because Spider-Man No Way Home trailer dropped, and there's some fans out there say the Lizard could appear in Spider-Man No Way Home. Well, why not sit down and cover the origin of the Lizard? Now, it took place in 3 books. Spectacular Spider-Man number 237 through 239. And truthfully, the origin is only told in about 5 pages, but it is told in one complete story. So if you do like today's comic book video, please hit that like button down below and also subscribe for more to come. But I do hope you enjoy today's video. So the first few pages of this book is wrapping up a previous story where Peter Parker was on the verge of dying. Well, actually here, he does end up dying. This is in the middle of the Clone Saga, where Ben Reilly is Spider-Man, while Peter Parker is just being Peter Parker, and helping out Mary Jane, who was pregnant. Now, if you realize the way that I'm talking, Peter Parker, of course, did not die here. That actually, Peter Parker is alive and well. He wakes up at the end of this section. The reason why I'm going over this is because it gives me a way to answer all the questions you could have. Well, some of the questions, but Peter Parker is not dead. He's alive and well. Now, at the same time, Kurt Connor has come back to New York. The reason why is because he was called to help Peter Parker, who was dying. Now, Kurt Connor left New York for Florida to be with his family. So at this point, he was gone for a long time from New York. So him being back here, he was hoping to see a city that has improved since the last time he was here. Of course, it is New York City. It has not improved because of what the human race is. Now, I think this takes place in the middle of the Onslaught saga as well. I could be wrong though. Either way, Kurt Connor is back in New York City. So of course, the next section we see Ben Reilly being Spider-Man. He's out there on parole and just seeing if anyone may need some kind of help. Except that is when he sees a lizard creature. Now right off the bat, you can tell that this is not the original lizard we love. This one looks different. So this maybe could not be Kurt Connor. This could be Kurt Connor in his alter ego, but just looks different. The answer is unknown, but for Ben Reilly, to him, this is Kurt Connor. He was worried about Kurt Connor coming into town and the possibility of him turning into the Lizard. So seeing a lizard creature now means to Ben, this is Kurt Connor. Now, in 2 pages, the theory of Kurt Connor being the Lizard gets debunked very quickly. The reason why is because we see Kurt Connor visiting Peter Parker at the hospital. He came to New York to see how Peter Parker was doing, to help save the life of Peter Parker. So while these two are talking to each other and catching up, they look outside to see that Ben Reilly is fighting against the new Lizard. And the question is, who is the new Lizard now? To wrap up the first chapter of this book, we see Ben Reilly fighting against the new Lizard, which of course means these two are going to fight for the next few pages. Also to point out that Ben Reilly is new when it comes to fighting against the Lizard. Yes, he has all the powers and memories of Peter Parker. This is technically his first time fighting against him. Now, Peter Parker does join in and tries to help out. With Peter Parker and Ben Reilly there together, it ends with this new Lizard getting away. And also, Peter Peter Parker telling Ben Reilly that the new lizard is not Curt Connors. So the second chapter opens up with Curt Connor going back home to Florida, of course to be with his family. Even here, Curt Connor doesn't like the public. To him, the people of Florida are like the people of New York, except he came back home to be with his wife and son. This will lead into his origin, or him actually explaining his origin to us. He tells us his origin after he gets back home, and his son greets him all happy, except that is when his son asks him if he is allowed to go to the arcade with some of his friends. Where of course you have Curt Connor tell his son that he's allowed to go to the arcade. We get his origin in about 3 to 4 pages, where we learn that Curt Connor was in the army and he was a medic. While trying to tend to someone else's wounds, that is when he got shot and led to him losing his arm. That back end, of course, into what we already know about Curt Connor becoming the lizard. He tried to use lizard DNA to hopefully grow back an arm, since lizards are known to regrow lost limbs. Of course, it turned him into the lizard character we all know about. Except now the question is, what about the other lizard creature? Where did that lizard creature come from is the next question. Before we can learn that, we come to find out that Curt Connor's hatred towards the world has built up his fear of the future for his son, wondering, will the future of the earth be that bad when his son finally grows up? He is scared that his son might not have a full-on life. Of course, we do dive into the origin of the second lizard creature we saw earlier. Curt Connor and his assistant Aldo continue to do more experiments, hoping to find a way to grow back the lost arm of Curt Connor's, where that leads to them turning lizards into just bigger looking creatures. Still, not the same ones we saw earlier. The creation of the new lizard creature we saw earlier comes when Aldo on his own tried to use a new version of the lizard serum on a tail that was cut off from a previous lizard. That is what made the new lizard creature we saw earlier. It grew from that tail. So the blame kind of goes on Aldo trying to do things on his own, hoping to help out Curt Connor, only to make things like 10 times worse. We do get answers on the question, why did the new lizard creature appear in New York then, but was created in Florida by Curt Connor and Aldo? The creature was made from a new version of the lizard serum. The base of it came from Curt Connor's DNA. So this creature was looking for Curt Connors. So it followed him to New York. With him being back in Florida, well, of course, it is following him back there. We learned this through the news reports that Ben Reilly is watching. People have been calling in reporting seeing the creature. Ben was able to figure out that the creature is heading towards Curt Connor in Florida. So of course, you have Ben get up and get on a plane to go stop this creature. While back in Florida, we see Curt Connor getting upset at his son for not coming home on time. Now, this is a mixture of Curt was worried about his son, but also that Curt fears and hatred has grown so much that he is actually becoming paranoid every moment. Now, while at home, of course, they are attacked by the new lizard creature. So you have Curt Connor rush into the guest house or his lab, whatever, to get away. Of course, this confirms what Ben Reilly was saying. The creature was looking for Curt Connor, and that is why he appeared in New York, but also appearing in Florida as well. To close on the second chapter of this book, we see that Ben Reilly does make it to Florida in time, jumps in and begins to fight against the creature, only to get a surprise. That surprise being Curt Connor has also turned into the lizard. So now we have two lizards at the moment. If you were wondering where in the world the wife of Kurt Connor was at, don't worry, she does make her appearance for the last chapter and only in the first 3 pages of the book. We see her waking up to the sound of Spider-Man and the Lizard fighting against each other. That makes her run to the sounds and see the two of them fighting, letting her know that the Lizard has returned once again. Now, the final chapter of this book is really more of Ben Reilly Spider-Man fighting against the Lizard. We do get to see some dialogue between the two characters. We continue to see that the Lizard is kind of like the Hulk. Kurt Connor and the Lizard are 2 different personas in one body. The Lizard hates Kurt Connor and will even let Kurt Connor's son die in the process. That Kurt Connor's persona has to fight through to take back over the body and to get rid of the Lizard. And that is it for the book. Ben Reilly Spider-Man was able to stop the Lizard and Kurt Connor goes back home with his son. So, this is where we are going to end today's video. So please hit that like button down below and also subscribe to the channel for more content to come in the near future. Also, any suggestions on books I should read? Well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But I do hope you enjoyed today's video.